Yeah, I still see U-Haul.
I still use U-Haul too.
It's us.
Yeah, I just accepted that with drawings.
Yep, they're on and they're here. They're on.
Right, so we have Rob, oh, sorry.
Come over here and talk loud because
I can be loud,
you
Gene.
can be pick up on the mic here, okay?
Okay,
Thanks, Matt.
so Matt Naparella representing the FedEx Freight Project. On the Zoom call is Michael, Brian, Grayson, and Gerald from Kieran West, and project architect Rob McManus. We're here to talk about the FedEx Freight utility slash shop maintenance facility, and as well what we can do for a FedEx mandated hurricane shelter building. We submitted stuff, and frankly, as I left my office last night at 7 o'clock, I left my thumb drive, but that's our latest drawing. Rob, I don't know if you wanted to start to talk about the improvements that we've made since the public planning board meeting, and then talk about that enhancements, and then I don't know, between Rob and Gerald, if we want to talk about what we're gonna do to help the hurricane shelter scenario with the screen wall.
Yes, of course. Good morning. My name is Rob McInnes at Ford Architects. Thanks for meeting with us this morning. What we have on the screen here is the revised shop exterior elevations. This is our colored rendering. The main things that we updated on this project is we added a brick water table to the south building elevation, what we're calling the front of this building that faces the street. It's 3 foot 4 inches tall. It has a soldier course at the top of the water table to match the office building. And then the remaining courses underneath are just your modular running bond, and that matches the office building as well. So that water table wraps the corner and it turns back on the east and west side. And comes back roughly a little over 30 feet or so to wrap around the quote unquote front of this building. We updated the colors just to better match the office building. That was always the intent, but it was probably had a bit more of a gray hue than it should have. So this is a little bit more of a beige. And we have a smooth pre-engineered metal panel above the water table, and then it transitions back to your standard vertical panels above the shop. And then the last thing we did for the shop building was we removed any rooftop mounted RTUs, and we're going to have indoor conditioning units to really, I think just overall, we've tried our best to remove everything off the roof. We've gotten rid of the exterior ladder. I think taking those 2 units will help visually as well. And then the last piece we did, if we could flip over to the next screen for our rendered screen wall. I think we have an 8.5 by 11 PDF we included with this. Yes, that's one. Thank you. So that screen wall, the all 3 brick. We have the same water table, and then the brick above that matches the office building and also the screen wall of the generator that's on the east side of the building. So that screen wall is 8 foot 8 inches tall. The tornado shelter is 8 feet tall, so this will stick out just above it. And then it's 24 feet wide. And I believe our tornado shelter is 10 feet wide. So we've placed this on the site to screen the best we can from the right of way.
So I don't know, Gerald, if you wanted to kind of talk about the functionality and the purposing of that tornado shelter, because I know the board had some questions about that when we were before them a week and a half ago.
Can you guys hear me? I'm having trouble getting joined in. I have only the phone call.
Yeah, we can hear you, Gerald.
Audio is okay. Yeah, so there's 2 functions. You've got 2 shelters. The shelters in the shop function as normal, everyday shop. Hopefully that's all they ever function as. If there's a emergency event or some reason they determine they need to get in that shelter, you know, certain people go into that one. And that may be a mixture of yard people or shop people or whoever's really closest to that facility. There's also another one over to the left by the screen wall. That is literally an empty metal shell. It's got a concrete floor, or metal walls, metal roof. Those little bump outs on the outside of that, those are emergency ventilation. It's for the emergency ventilation. It has battery powered lights in it. It's also typically got a emergency toilet and that sort of thing in there. That is unoccupied except in the case of an emergency. So hopefully it's never used also.
So I guess what we were hoping to do is, you know, get critique from the board members and get an understanding of first and foremost the shop building, so we can, you know, keep advancing through the planning board process. And again, the hurricane shelter, there was a lot of comments with regards to that visual impact being forthright and next to the terminal building, and that is a requirement of FedEx with regards to all of their facilities nationwide to provide their employees with equal protection across all of their facilities. As such, it becomes a requirement, a corporate requirement, and that screen wall really becomes the visual impact for the passerby on Canada Drive. So thoughts and comments from board members?
Can you just, I'm sorry, I can't see the screen right now, but can you just provide me some clarity? I thought the unit was wider than 10 feet. I think there was a comment that it was 10 feet wide, but I don't know. I'm trying to visualize, and I'm sorry that I can't see it right now, but I'm trying to visualize how this screen wall is actually screening it from Canada Drive. I thought wasn't the shelter perpendicular to the building? Isn't it much wider than 10 feet?
The shelter is parallel to the building. It's 10 feet by 40 feet long, and it's running the length of the building. So only the 10 foot wide section faces the road.
Did that get rotated from the last proposal?
No, it's always been that way, Nate.
Oh, I guess I'm just not visualizing it correctly then. My apologies. So it is fully screened. That's I think what I was going for.
No,
No,
it's screened at the parking lot side, like in parallel with the with the narrow face of both buildings.
Okay, thank you.
Screens on one side only, facing the street.
Correctly.
And is that acceptable to the board? And is the nature of the screening generally acceptable?
I think I would need to see the 3D view again. Do you have a 3D view showing? Or
Not
just
at
the
this time,
elevation?
Jenny, but it's something we can work up, but we don't have that 3D of, we really just provided that planimetric, detailing of what that screen wall will look like, but we can,
It also seems like on the approach, like when you're driving, you'd see the side of the building until you got directly in front of it, because the fence, the screening ends right in line with the edge of the building. It seems that way right now. I don't know if that's true though.
The building is, the shelter is down quite a bit lower than the street. There's quite a few obstructions in the way, being it trees or fences and an awful lot of cars and that sort of thing. I don't think you would see it. You certainly wouldn't see much of it, but that's just my opinion. Rob, I don't know if we had any pictures from the street. I thought that one letter we put originally together showed that that view from the street. Maybe it doesn't.
I could
It was
share
one
my
of the
screen
files.
and we could look at the live, well, not live, but we could look at the Google views right now.
Yeah, that'd be great, Rob. I was
That's a
just
good
trying to
idea.
pull that up here on the side.
How wide is the screen?
It's 24 feet wide.
Is there any reason that they could put that screening even with the front of the building and push it back?
There's a walkway to get break room and to get into the shelter itself. So
It would align itself with the front of the building rather than sticking out.
the curb, I think we'd be into the parking lot if we did that. Rob can zoom in on that, but I do think that setting it flush with the front of the building would put it out into the parking lot.
Thank you very much.
Is there any intent to add green screen or some sort of low greenery in front of this wall? So it's just not like a hard, solid wall?
Something we can certainly look at.
There's very little room there for that sort of thing. We could look at something like that. The unit itself is going to be recessed down into the ground about 2 feet in this particular location. The front of the building is dock high. As you return around the building and you get back about 30 feet, you lose about 4 feet. So the unit's going to be recessed into the ground quite a bit too, and quite a bit
So
lower.
if the unit, this has just something that hit my mind, it probably has nothing to do with what I'm supposed to comment on. If it's recessed into the ground, how is it ADA accessible?
We've got a path that'll get us there. I got to look at that and see. I think they come out the front door and they roll around, and then you enter it from the street or from the side from the.
They enter the north side, yeah.
Yeah, I still feel it looks like you have a tractor trailer, like a storage trailer parked next to your beautiful building.
They do.
Right here. I mean, is that what you're commenting on?
Technically, there's going to be about 300 of those next to the building.
At the backside.
Yeah,
Oh,
that
wait,
is
away
that
from
is the
everything.
backside. Our screen wall will be about that. I'd be surprised if you see much of it, to be honest, past a lot of these tractors and other employee parking and all the landscaping that's in front.
Is it possible, I think Joe, I asked for, bushes in front of the wall. I know you said you obviously can't make it flush with the building, but if you pushed it back 3 or 4 feet and the wall went back a couple of feet, say,
I
get some
think
bushes
there's
in there.
enough room where bushes in front of it. I do think there's room to get some bushes in front of it. I do, yeah. We'd even be open to a couple more trees out front if that would help to block the view in certain areas. Or if that would relax some of the other requirements on the shop, we could put a lot more landscaping out along the street too.
Yeah, I think adding greenery to break up that hard wall is going to be beneficial.
We'll do that.
It is pretty far from the road.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rob, are you bringing up Google Street View?
Mark, sorry, Mike, were you saying something?
Yeah, were you bringing up Google Street View so we could get a look at this?
If I was gonna guess, this unit's 400 feet back from the road, and we could probably, Rob, you might be better at.
It'd be right where you can see that FedEx trailer right now.
Oh, that is really far back.
I would assume it would come up to the height underneath the letters of FedEx.
So that gives a good perspective.
Right there.
So that, right where that truck is there that says FedEx, that's where the back side of the building would be. So that truck is about 45 feet back behind the brick wall of the building.
Yeah, that's at that first parking space from the site plan, right? So that the little
right.
green island is in front of that.
Yep.
So to the extent that I think that Nate brought this up last time, that this was a really carefully curated building. It won an award, and there, they talk about some additional screening close to the building because it's also that perspective of close to the building and the look of the building was important to this board and was very well done by FedEx. So I just throw that out as a reminder to the board.
So Jenny had a curious comment regarding the other truck trailers on the site. And I think somebody said there's over 300 of them.
That was
really
just
does
me.
look like.
It may be
Well,
under, but yeah.
Well, I mean, but I think you're right. There's quite a few on the front and the back, and this thing really does look like a truck trailer. But would it be just as simple to say, I don't know, that this thing really kind of blends into the truck trailers rather than the building? I can't help but just wonder if a screen wall really draws more attention to this thing than if it really looked like a truck bay. I don't know. I'm thinking aloud, but that sentiment came to mind. I don't know what the board would say about that.
Well, I think
Because this is considered a temporary structure, correct?
No, it's permanent. It'll be there for always.
I meant for.
So if FedEx were
the-
to move out, they would take with them. Is a good way to say it.
Can you say that again?
If FedEx were to move out, they often take these with them. We just had a facility in College Station, Texas. They took the building with when they left. So. So it's got a full foundation. It's bolted to the concrete. It's not going anywhere, but 4 or 5 hours and it can be gone.
I guess at the end of this discussion, I would want to see what the screen wall looks juxtaposed up against the building, because I just fear that it's really going to be, it may be the same materials, it may be of the same colors, but at the end of the day, is it proportionally working with the existing building and its in relative to its location? That's all. So is that something you could
Could you
provide?
blend it even more?
What was the question?
No, I would go back to his question. Is that something you could provide the details to have it look and everything of what it will look like with the screen and blending in? And I was saying, like, could it blend even more? Like, does it have to be right up front?
We haven't found any other place to put the storm shelter that would be close enough to, the majority of the people are in the office most of the time, depends on how.
Yeah, I think we asked that question last time, and I think we got that same response, that this is the only location on site where it can be. So what I think this board's trying to do is make sure that we're trying to conceal it as much as possible. I appreciate the comment that it looks like a Connex trailer that you just dropped kind of on the side of the building. So the screen wall, although I can't see it, seems to handle some of that. I would try and break it down with some vegetation of some sort so that it doesn't look like a dumpster enclosure.
Can I follow up on the other comment about the visually looking somewhat?
By all
like a
means.
trailer? Would it be, would you be open to the idea if we put a FedEx logo on it? It is a white structure that does look very much like the trailers that are behind it.
It's not gonna.
I was even thinking we just rotate it 90 degrees, then it looked like a trailer.
Well, yes, that's what my sentiment was, Kevin, is it almost goes in one of the truck bays.
Right.
It just
Obviously, they don't
lives
want to.
there.
Obviously, don't want to put it in a truck bay because they're going to lose a bay. But you could stick it right in the middle of that grass. I don't know if we have a signage issue if you put FedEx on it, but I bet you could make it look just like a trailer and nobody have a clue.
Rob, would it fit in there? You know, if we rotated it 90 degrees?
It would be tight. I'm not positive. Looking at the aerial view, I think the best option would be to just treat it with landscaping similar to what we have over here. So it looks like it was done on purpose. If we could bookend a lot of our landscaping, because I understand the concerns with having the screen wall protrude out from the face of the building, and it feels like we're forcing the screen wall in there that it might not be the best solution for the building overall.
Yeah, guys, I hate to be the retarded one. We've got 2 more work sessions coming in, so what do you think?
I think our signage rules say they can't have FedEx written on
Right.
it, just so they know.
I'd be okay if you put those spruces on the other side.
Yeah.
Whatever
Could
those
we-
trees are.
Yeah, maybe that's something we could explore. Take a closer look at all the
Yeah,
landscaping.
why don't you guys take the opportunity to take our comments, see if there's anything else that can be done. I think you've heard the concerns of this board. Circulate something through us. You don't have to wait until another work session. You can always filter it through Leah and Alana. It'll get to the board. We can give you comments or fast feedback on it. But I think you've heard our sentiments again in terms of how that shelter looks on the side. Give it another shot.
I think we,
I didn't hear any comments on the shop itself, so we're good with the shop as presented today.
I mean, I'll say from my perspective, the last iteration that I looked at, which had that brick water table. I appreciate it. I think you heard what we had said and you incorporated it. I didn't have any additional comment on that one. I'll let the rest of the board speak, but
It seems like most everyone was okay with that building, subject to that one comment. Would that be fair? I guess it is. There you have it.
Yeah, well, thank you, guys. Thank you very much for
Okay.
your time.
We'll take a look at that, and Doug, I appreciate that. We'll get some edits back to you guys and do the best we can to further screen it with some landscaping. I think that's really the direction we're gonna go with you. So I appreciate the time this morning.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And thank you for letting those guys do that. They're all out of state, but they will be coming to the next planning board in person, so appreciate that.
Okay, great, thank you.
See you, Matt. Appreciate it.
Okay, who do we have up next?
You've got Wide Waters Cooling Tower and come on over.
Morning, folks.
Morning.
Dave Mitchell, Barton and Judas, representing the client, the Wide Waters project.
Thanks.
So we went back somewhat to the drawing board based on the planning board's comments from the last meeting. I had discussions with my contact at Granite Real Estate, and I think the flavor I got from the board from the last meeting was kind of like the look of the cooling tower with its enclosure sited on the northeast side of the existing business office building. So rather than present two plans, with one on the northwest being one location and then one on the northeast being location, we concentrated our efforts on what you see in front of you now. As the board mentioned, there's a little bit of an earth mound there on that side of the building now. And we took the advice of using that to help buffer, soften the enclosure. The enclosure now is a total from the floor, the high point of the floor slab, it's a total of 12'6" high. Totally enclosing, you won't see the cooling tower at all from any view, unless you're over above it with a drone or something, or flying over top. So we have a secure door on the south side of the enclosure. The enclosure is brick clad, interior CMU backup. The facade of the enclosure, I tried as best I could, I think, maybe some would argue otherwise, to try to mimic the look of the building in the background with somewhat like pillars, if you will, separating the windows. Now, we don't have windows or any kind of fenestration in this enclosure, but by changing the shade or the color of the brick, try to enhance that look or bring that out. Yeah, I mean, I guess at this point, I guess I just need some comment back from the board, what their thoughts are. I also have, if I could, before we get into it, I have on my computer, I don't know if we can get this up or something, but I have a walk around of this thing.
Are you joined in on the Zoom
a
call
movie?
through your laptop as well?
Do you have Wi-Fi?
There is a public use one.
I'm sorry, I'm not able to watch the screen right now, but I asked the rest of the board, is what's being presented in line with the discussions that we were having the other night?
It looks so.
Yeah, I can't see either, but it sure sounds like it. What would you say is the height above the revised grades to the top of the site wall? Is that the
So-
11-foot, 12-foot dimension you said?
So from the floor, if you're standing inside the enclosure, from the floor slab to the top of the wall, it's 12'6". On the street facing side, we have about 8 foot of exposed wall.
Yeah, and the rest is built into the berm.
Oh, I think that's great.
Yeah, the images you have on the screen, with it set in, represent what we were trying to talk about, how blending landscape and architecture here to minimize this thing.
And it looks like the top of the building, which is flat, is just at the bottom of the upper windows on the
Windowsill.
building.
Yeah,
Which is
Kathy,
nice,
I
so
agree.
it looks like
Yeah.
it works.
Yeah, it looks like it's tied in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I like the difference color in brick, but maybe we could see the brick color in like a horizontal banding to look a little bit more like the building. If you wanted a suggestion.
Horizontal banding at what level?
So right now you have two light brick, and the shape
Panels,
kind of looks like overhead doors shape to me, and the building has a little bit more of a horizontal look. So if there were like maybe 3 courses of dark brick at the top with the cap, and then you did a light band that mimicked the band of the building in the back, I think you could see it the best in the image that you're showing at the top right now. And then finished off with dark brick at the bottom of the building again.
Gotcha, yeah.
Yeah, do you have those brick pilasters? They're showing as they're proud of the primary field.
Yeah, I'm about 4 inches off the face of the primary.
Gotcha. So you could. I'm looking at the bottom image that has the pair
Yeah,
of
I
doors,
see.
access doors. You could corbel out and run the darker brick band across the top, so it looks like, that way when I look at the building, I see the column elements, I see the head element. You have that sort of a head element that wraps around the top here in the darker brick. I think that'd be awesome.
All right. Okay.
So there's no galvanized sticking up above it then,
Correct.
correct?
Correct.
Yep. Yeah, I think this was,
Sounds like you've got all the points.
Yeah, I think this is a good response.
Great.
I really wish I could show you the video. I was kind of proud of the video. I think you guys would like it, but I guess I have no way of getting it on there.
Well, I would say update it for these,
Email it.
few comments here. Yeah, you can email it to us, but certainly bring it to the next,
Well, the
board
problem is
meeting
it's-
to show.
Yeah, I'd love to. It's a large file. That's the problem.
You can plug your computer in, so you can just run it.
Yeah,
Or do we not have
if
time?
you join the Zoom call, then you can share.
Yes, that's
Through the agenda, it has the Zoom link.
Oh, during the meeting? Yeah, I think you could.
Yes.
Doug does it all the time.
Let's see, so, but I have to have internet.
There's a public Wi-Fi. There is a public Wi-Fi.
Do it official use, do it public, okay. I didn't see that when I was out in the lobby, cause I was looking for it. Connect on a minute. Okay. Now, let's see, so you're saying. Is that on your website?
howtodoit.com.
to get.
And then if you scroll down, there's like a calendar, and you can click right through any board workshop meeting to get to the agenda.
Put them on the spot here.
Oops. Planning board, set meeting schedule. on the right page? Agendas?
Okay, are we, you think you have enough to wrap up what you need to do?
I do.
Yeah, we're trying to get the video, but it's,
Oh, okay.
seem to get it.
We don't have to, I don't wanna take up your time, I just.
Well, if we find it before the.
Well, do you have a contact or something?
Are you able to email it?
I can, so we have liquid files like Dropbox. Can I send somebody an email with that? And they can just
Yeah.
download it?
And then everyone can have access to it if I send a link?
Yeah.
If I forward your email, sure. Do
Yeah.
you want my, I don't have a card yet.
Okay, all right, so we'll get there. We'll get that video to everyone on a drop link. So you can see it.
So to the next board meeting is, or what's the
All
next?
right, so the next, what track are they on?
B, I think so.
So,
Track A,
okay, and
so that's the next planning board meeting.
That'd be the next meeting.
the next one in a couple weeks and then,
Okay.
Thank you for taking all of our comments. Great job.
Yeah, no problem.
so,
So May 9th is our next planning board meeting.
do we have, he needs to just give us a full drawing set and we'll be good?
Yeah, we need a full package with, revised comments in it.
Okay,
Then it should be ready for an approval.
sounds good.
Hopefully. Sounds good.
Yeah, okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, who's next?
So, we have U-Haul.
Here. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
I've got about 13 minutes, guys, so I don't know if U-Haul's there and wants to get started.
Yeah, I thought you were pulling up the plans. We're working on, Austin, you want to pull up the renderings or the site plan?
Yes, just 1 second here. Everybody see my screen?
No.
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 There you
There we
go.
go.
What screen can you see at the moment?
Site plan.
Okay,
So here's the site plan. Basically, what was requested from the board on the last work session was is that you annotate anything that was prior and what we are working on now. On the notes that I got back, that was approved and agreed that we had done that. Basically, the only thing that wasn't on there was the storage buildings. So everything should be marked at that point for this. The parking spaces was a concern where the buildings were going to be versus where the, compared to what we had. We actually increased the parking from 58 to 62, so we're good at that point. We indicated on the site plan the storage units and where the setback was going. They was a request to move them in line with the actual curbing, that was there, the mountable curbing to So we put them in line with that so they were not penetrating into the driveway. As far as the vehicle movement, the return lane is the only thing here that is indicated as what the drive lane is. So we indicated on here as requested where the parking would be for the storage units for the load unload at the time of doing so, staging, standing, however that looks like. Any questions on the site plan? I mean, I think everything was pretty black and white on what was requested, and we annotated it on here, so.
With respect to the site plan, I apologize, I cannot actually see what you projecting because I'm driving right now, but Doug, does that satisfy kind of the comments site plan related?
I think that it was that way in always a one-way. I think we'd have to see
No.
that on it.
No, it's not. It's a two-way.
It's clearly marked.
That's a two-way.
It's clearly marked on the drawing and in the field as a one-way.
No, that's the return lane.
I was out there. It's clearly marked one way.
Doug.
Right on the driveway.
Doug, can I talk?
Yeah, go ahead.
That is the return lane. If you follow that, takes you to the canopy to return the equipment. That is nothing more than the return for the equipment. That's what that is for. That's what.
Well, I guess what Doug is saying is, hold on. I guess what Doug is saying is there's two lanes of traffic that are headed to the back of the lot. Both of them are pointed as one way. So if you're directing people one way to the back, there's confusion on how they're supposed to return back out to Thompson. Are they driving against the one-way markings? That I think is what Doug is mentioning.
This was like this from the original site plan. This is not something new.
I'm not debating it, but it's very confusing.
It's something that we're gonna have to correct.
Because as you see, it says pavement marking as approved. That was what was on the original site plan, all the amended site plans. This has been from day one with our site plan on this. That is a two-lane traffic.
Maybe it was wrong.
Well,
Do they have two lanes there, or when you're parking your vehicle, does it minimize the width of the two lanes? Do people feel like it's two lane, or do they feel like it's one generous lane?
No, that's two lanes. In and out is even two lanes. I mean, it's probably bigger than a two-lane exit at that location. That's probably 100 feet across there.
2017 site plan. We're just gonna pull up the 2017 site plan.
Well, it only shows 28 feet, so if it's if it's two ways, you can't have just arrows pointing into the site and then not designating a double yellow line to have somebody come out. I think that's the bigger issue, is it
Guys, if I can interject, I was there as a customer on Sunday, and I drove in following the yellow, and it was very confusing on the way out whether or not I was actually going against a one-way. I think you just probably need another arrow coming back the other direction so it doesn't look like it's a one-way. I think it's as simple as that.
Okay.
Yeah, just a double yellow line delineating that it's a road or a roadway or a pathway for in and out traffic. Right now, if somebody drove in there, it's one way. Yeah, as I look at it right now, it's one way. Hello.
Hey, Joe.
Yeah.
I was
Here on
the last we had heard. She was
Yep.
going to pull it up.
Joe, you got to mute
What am I
yourself.
supposed to be doing?
We're just digging a deep hole test.
All right, in this.
Joe,
No.
mute
So
yourself.
you gotta mute.
Were we going to
Sorry
pull it
about
up? I was waiting to see if you were going to pull up that site plan from 2017 or.
Yep, we're looking for it. No, the not the building, but the actual site plan.
Nate, while they're pulling that up, your camera's on now too.
This is all I showed you, so I don't, we didn't.
Okay, but is it in there?
That's to the best of my knowledge.
Rather than pull that up now, do we want to try to clarify some things that we're looking for, and then we can do
Absolutely.
the comparisons after.
That's it. If that's-
We have limited time.
Mhm.
Yes, I agree, Jen.
Blow that up.
Do you want to go to
Blow
the,
that up.
do we want to go to the rendering or?
Yeah, because there were still some questions on.
Just to clarify, just on that, we just pulled up that prior site plan. I don't know if it got shared, but it is not marked one way. So I agree with Jenny. Let's try to
Can you blow it
Fix
up more
that.
so we can see the dimension there too?
This is not 2017.
28.7.
No, Austin's still sharing that. I think they're looking at it themselves at
Okay.
the site.
And it shows that, go back up. Right there. So it shows the drive lanes nominally 28 feet to Joe's point, right? That would give 13 and 13, 14 and 14, right? Which would indicate that it's probably enough room for a two-way.
So just
If
in
it's
terms
nothing-
of site circulation, that just needs some clarification physically on site as to that it's two-way traffic.
And again, I'd be more than glad to meet anybody on site so we can clarify it on site. That's not a problem. I'm here pretty much most days.
right, and then it can also be shown on the plan so that when we approve this plan, we have the right thing in place.
Right. I just feel like sometimes we're recreating the wheel.
Well,
Right.
if we
For
want to say
renderings.
it that way, I feel like we haven't seen a good wheel yet. You've had a square and a rectangle, and
Well,
you haven't curved off
Jenny-
the edges.
Jenny, I would say that this has already been approved since 2017. It hasn't been an issue since.
Right.
I haven't seen.
Right, but we have
Yeah.
now an opportunity to clearly document it and get it corrected. That's what we're looking for.
You just have to realize, as coming from this side, what it feels like.
And I can, but from my side, because I'm newer to the board, I feel the same way. Like I feel like I can't get a set of drawings that shows the existing and the proposed.
And this is exactly what it
We've
was.
only seen the site
and is-
plan today.
Okay, this is exactly what was and what we're proposing. That's what you asked for. That's what this is.
I understand that, but it also doesn't match what's currently out there, is also what I'm saying.
Yes, this matches exactly what is out there.
Okay, all right, as long as it does. I can check
So-
again after we have this set.
Absolutely. And again, I will state over and over again, I am more than glad to meet anybody on the town on site to discuss this further. Anytime, just let me know. All right, let's go to renderings. Nate's gonna have to jump off here soon.
I'll be
So
able to
on the
listen and talk a
renderings-
little bit more, but I'll probably just have to be more quiet. But we've got a couple more minutes.
Okay, on the renderings, let's go to the west first because that is the one that is to the facing the, bring it down. I'm sorry, let's do east first. Yeah, Austin, thank you.
Yep.
So on the,
Before you start, is what you're showing on the screen right now the existing conditions or what you're proposing?
no, this is what we are proposing.
Okay. Because I think there was a drawing, and I think it's maybe this one that you're showing at the bottom right shows existing.
I think that's existing.
This is
This is Dave from
So
Lavella.
that's not actually, that might quote unquote be existing, but not existing.
No, this is existing.
Yeah, this one's existing. Says right here, existing.
Well, what it says on there is not, I mean,
That
I
is
think we need to
correct.
talk, yeah, so what we need to look at is this what you're proposing that the construction's already begun on it? Or is this what was previously approved back in 2017?
This is the proposed of what we're looking to do. These are the changes after the last board meeting that we put on this plan. The front of the location, one of the main sticklers was the white band of paint. We've removed the white band of paint on the bottom portion of this building. The 3 overhead doors will match the existing August Moon paint, so that right now on the southwest, there is not a exit staircase there. For some reason that was removed. I'm going to put one back. The brown will match the wood texture of the siding around the windows at the top. Same thing with the band on the top. We're doing away with the aquamarine color that nobody cared for on the last planning board meeting. That's going to the smokehouse. The band around the entire building will be the smokehouse gray. The ADA ramp to the right, more to the north, will be the brown that will match the wood grain. And that about sums up the colors on the front of the building. Everything will be the brown August Moon, the gray on the footing, as well as the Galvalume around the patch that's on the building right there.
You mentioned a stair that's not there, or where is the stair? Could you zoom into
To the
that?
south. Yeah, right on the south. Oh no,
So
go down. You're on the right
Currently,
there. Right
so
there.
currently, if I walked out to the site, the stair is not there.
No, for some reason there's no staircase there.
Then you can't put a stair back in without.
There was. If we look at the site plan on
But
2017.
after it's gone, you can't put it back in. Is that true? I think stairs.
No, I guess I guess if right now we're approving everything, I think we're gonna try to, and I think this is what they're getting at is, there's some stuff out there probably shouldn't have been done, there's some color problems, and there's some other elevation issues that have been discussed, and I think this plan is, this is what we want to do. They need a stairway there.
That was an ADA, well, not an ADA, that was a fire exit. I don't know, sometime when I left in 2017 till I came back last fall, somebody ripped that staircase out of there, and it's not okay. We gotta have a fire exit. We gotta have a staircase there, so.
I agree. I would just want you to make sure that it matches the drawings and the egress drawings, because stairways are very, very particular. So that's all I'm saying. Don't just put it in haphazard.
No, I agree.
A stair is very, very technical.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
So I will do so with the ADA regulations, but somebody along the way thought it was a great idea to rip that out of there after I left it. I need to put it back to make sure we're in compliance with federal or with fire. Other than that, everything else is, I think, pretty good on this elevation. I know the white band was the biggest thing, the two-tone paint, looking like the half moon cookie.
Are the big orange doors on the south elevation shown on the drawings? I can't see the drawings. I'm driving right now, so.
We can go to the south drawing, but let's go to the south elevation now, Nate.
Okay, so any particular, and Jenny and Kathy, I know you can see this, and Nate can't, but are there any comments in particular, broad stroke, on these elevations? They look like they have answered most of what we've talked to. That's me, I'm no architect.
They have answered what we asked them for before. I guess I'm still going back to from 2017 until you come in for this elevation. Like for instance, the wood was not on there. So this work seems like it was started prior to us giving approval.
Right, and now they're going to do now they're supposed to do or what is being requested by this board. With, regardless, I guess if work was done, the way to cure it is to come here and get it fixed, so that's what they're doing.
But I want to make it also clear that any work that's been done is all at work at risk by you all. Until it has been approved and reviewed by this board, it's all done at risk.
Right. Okay, so this elevation kind of looks appropriate. Nate, if you can just look at it when you can, you know, in the next little bit, that would be great.
So if we want to go to the south elevation now, Austin,
Yep.
that's removing the doors. And to your question, Nate, yes, that is taking the overhead doors that were established on there to show storage doors, as well as the ones that were proposed on the front elevation along Thompson Road have been removed from this drawing as well. So basically, the back elevation is nothing more than the August moon at this point. The white goes away except for, I can't see it, Nate, because of the people, or not Nate. God, I keep calling Austin Nate.
Austin, pull the drawing down, go back to the south elevation.
Pull it down.
South. Stay
Pull it
there.
down. Pull it down some more. Keep going. A little more. There we go.
Oh, good, now we got a nice blank screen.
Can everybody see that south elevation? Kathleen, I know you're on. Okay. So basically we took away the white band along the bottom of this building that went down about halfway, painted it August moon. The only thing you'll see from here is the walnut around the top, the smoke gray around the top band that matches the entire building. And the doors go away that are currently there. I think I forget, I went out and counted the other day, there's like 8 or 10 or something out there. So this just cleans it up, takes everything that's there. And I know one of the main messages I got from the last workshop was it just looked too busy. So this is what I was trying to accomplish, is just alleviate just about everything I could on this far south elevation. If we want to, the back, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I just need to see the notes at another time because I just can't see them all clearly. So I just need time to review this too. Yeah.
Yep. The print's so small. I agree. The back elevation on the west side is just all white at this point, which that's what it was prior, and it still is going to stay. I think the canopy had a different color or something, so we just matched the canopy to the smoke gray at the top portion. And then the only other one would be the north elevation with that's above it here. Did away with the aquamarine that was over the storage load to unload, went with the smokehouse gray along the top of there. Down, if you pull it so we can see the main entrance for the showroom, Austin. Pull it over more. Yep. There was white from those storage doors to the back side of this building. We alleviated that white and went with the August moon on this section as well. So again, the entire, obviously you can see the theme here is we did away with all of the white that the town had requested, and the aquamarine, I think, were the two biggest colors. On the notes, the one, Nate, if you can pull that a little farther so we can see the roof that's on that little fire sprinkler room, riser room. Other way. That roof, if you see on the drawing here, is showing to match the August moon. On the comments, it said that it showed that it was still green. We'll paint that the August moon, because right now it was just metal that had been put on there because that roof was leaking so bad. But we can paint that the August moon to match everything else on that front. So, I mean, that's kind of a small, minute, but I don't have a problem. We'll just make it match so it doesn't stick out or anything on that north elevation. I think the biggest thing what we made sure we did is we got rid of the August, or we kept the August moon. We got rid of the white that was on the bottom half of the building from the north elevation and the east elevation and the south elevation, painted it the August moon, did away with the aquamarine that was on the north and the east elevation to match the smokehouse that was around the entire building, and the ADA ramps that were green railing and that type of stuff, painting them the brown to match the wood grain that's on the overhead doors currently and the proposed wood grain around the southeast corner or southwest corner, no, southeast corner and the north elevation. All right, I'll stop talking.
I appreciate updates on this. I, like Jenny, will have to get into the drawings and review them with, you know, a finer eye, and then get you comments based on our discussion today.
Okay, now do we want to talk about signage?
Yes.
Okay. So with the signage, I took off a lot of the signage that we had on this building. If we start with the south elevation, or we'll start with the east elevation on this location. There was a 3x5 cabinet sign on the southeast corner over the display windows. I took that off of there. On the concrete face of the building that we had talked about before, that was kind of historical, kind of looking to the building, I want to propose to take that 4x9 cabinet sign off of there with the mentality to add it to the Galvalume climate control self-storage. One, to give it a little bit more of a classy look. Two, to take the lighted sign down so it's not as obtrusive to the environment around there. And three, to kind of keep with that same theme that I was going with here, is to not have this piecemealed where there's so many colors and so many things going on that it's too busy. So going with the black U-Haul over the climate control is what I would like to propose for this, and do away with that what lit cabinet sign that was up on that concrete over to the right, over that door, the double man door. So there would be no sign at all on the concrete on that side of the building.
I don't have a problem with taking that off, but the large sign you've got now, what does it tie into? Well, you've got black on what, like an aluminum or white?
Yeah, it's a Galvalume basically. Yep, it's a ribbed Galvalume that's there.
I think it should blend in with the rest of the building as far as color is concerned. And I'm going to assume at this point, we haven't checked it out yet, that matches the square footage that you can have for a sign.
Yeah, that would, yes.
Okay.
And I just wonder why the background extends so far after the words. It seems like you would want to proportionally make the sign fit a little nicer and match.
So this is the first time, we're seeing this sign. I do want to check it for square footage.
Yeah, is the sign would be considered the block around the letters, or since it's being put on a panels, is the whole panel count as the sign?
Yes,
We're in that quasi area there.
Correct.
We'll have to get that for you.
So we'd have to. So I just want to talk about it today and get it on the radar, just kind of what some of the changes I'd like to look at and see if we can figure something out in regards to that. Let's go to the north elevation. I did the same thing on the north elevation. So at where you can see over the concrete above the ADA stairs, there's a 4x9 lit cabinet sign there currently. I'd like to do away with that sign as well And if you pull that to the west, there's a smaller 3x5 sign that's actually over the main entrance or customer entrance for the this location. It would be down here over the actual, down by the main entrance. The one thing that we're faced with this location, with the entrance being halfway down the building, I don't know how many times a day, but quite often, I'm not sure if Kevin is still on the call. Most customers that have never been to this location think they need to either go up the ADA ramp or go to that double doors in the front on that concrete. I know I could do some directional signage and that type of stuff, and maybe if we can't come to an agreement with the ZBA or something like that, I'll have to do something with maybe a lit arrow or something back by those doors. But the majority of the people that have never visited this location, typically what they want to do is go to that front concrete door, double door in the front. So my hope is, one, with removing those signage and we can use it elsewhere, it'll draw some of that customer traffic flow to the back where it should be.
Well, that's a fairly good idea, I think. I know even your store in Erie Boulevard and Water Street, it's confusing. You
Yeah.
park one place, they make you walk around and go to another door, so.
Yep. So that's kind of the same thing with this location, that the way that the front elevation was with this building, it really wasn't feasible to use that front section on that's closer to Thompson, because the back was all one flat elevation, and so that
Yeah.
was why with the ADA and everything, we went with the middle entrance with this building. But yeah, I'd like to try to draw some of that customer entrance, to that back. And if I do away with those signs, my mentality is that maybe we could use that square footage, or if I don't need that square footage, that would even help me out with the other signage, type thing. So
That makes sense.
let's go
So-
to the, go ahead, I'm sorry.
If I can just clarify, so the screen that I'm looking at right now, you've got two elevations shown with signage. One is that big U-Haul sign at self-storage. The other elevation is proposing basically three areas of signage, correct?
Well, most of this signage on the north side was already part of the ZBA. That was one thing that you guys were gonna try to locate, was the ZBA from that 2017.
Mhm.
I don't know if we had any success with that.
Well, we will look at that.
Because the drive-in self-storage and the boxes and hitches, there was moving supplies in that, or signage that was on the existing building that was approved through that 2017. That's why I asked that.
Like it was already on and then there was ZBA?
No, it was,
Okay.
no.
It was approved, you think, in 2017 at ZBA? Okay. well,
Yeah, I had
we'll
sent
find that.
over an email, I forget. I was trying to I found the application is what I could find. I couldn't find the meeting notes or anything like that in my system. So I actually had a hard copy that I had emailed over that when we actually requested it. So, and I was the one that attended the meetings and everything for the approval. If we go to the south elevation, on the south elevation, if you recall, you gotta drop it a little bit more, bud. Drop it. On the south elevation, on the walnut grain, there was drive-in storage in big white letters. I removed that and would like to put the 3x5 box sign that was on the front of the building around to the side of the building. One, so our street side is not too cluttered, and just have that instead of proposing the drive-in storage, that big letters that were on here prior to this. One, to alleviate the white for the most part altogether on this side with any lettering whatsoever, and white.
Will Does the sign package come in separate? Just because I feel like it's getting busy with all of the items now. So does that typically come in separate, Jamie?
Well, I think that we can, accept this as the sign package. We just really need to research it, see what the existing variances are. He's made some requested changes, and we just need a full analysis of it.
Okay, yeah, so the application that you sent in, that you found, did that have your variances on it as well?
It was the request for the variance, Jenny, for the signage.
Okay, yeah, because I just haven't seen that yet, so I just want to take a look at it. Thank you.
And again, that was from 2017. That was the original. Not current, the current one has the signage for the new one, but we were trying to locate on the last call, they were going to try to locate as far as the ZBAs and that, because I got a new computer and lost all my files, and I know their system was the same thing, it sounded like, from your guys' end as well, so we're gonna have to go to the hard record files.
Yeah, and hopefully we can get a good record, because I think you can maintain the old variances, but otherwise we have to try to go through the whole variances again.
Yeah, so we'll review that.
Mm-hmm.
And we do have the variance, so.
That's all I've got on the signage. That was kind of
That's
what I was.
all.
It's enough.
That's a lot of changes. That's a lot of changes.
Well, I appreciate that. I think we'd like the opportunity to kind of take your comments and do a little deep dive into the drawing set that you provided. We'll get you any feedback from there.
Okay, thank you.
All righty, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Yep.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
Let's try to hit a couple highlights of the meeting. Thanks to everybody who's staying on. So I think that we're.
Is there anything that needs to be an executive session, Jamie?
I think we're good with the public meeting. Yep, we can.
Close the public meeting?